We'll go ahead and bring the meeting to order. If everyone stand and turn to the flag for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, thank you. Stephanie, would you do one final roll call?
Yes, absolutely. Chair Clark,
Present.
Vice Chair Stark has resigned for the record. Member Horning,
Yes, here.
Member Campbell,
Here.
Member Bryan,
Here.
Member Lamug,
Here.
Member Jones,
Here.
Member Estill,
Here.
and Member Aquendo.
Here.
And we have a quorum.
Thank you. All right. To the best of my knowledge, we don't have anything under opening business, so we'll go on to the next item, which is approval of the minutes. Board members, you have the work session and the regular minutes for November 1st. If you would review those, and I'll open the floor for a motion.
I move to approve.
I have a motion to approve the minutes for the work session and the regular meeting minutes. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second by Member Estelle. All right, any discussion? Corrections, what? You?
Can alternates second if they're not voting members?
Oh.
Oh, I'll second.
Sorry.
Thank you. I didn't have a parliamentarian to roll this one, so thank you. Amend the second. Again, no questions. All right, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed signify likewise. No opposition. Minutes have been approved. All right, we don't have any items of old business, so we will go to the new business. The first item of new business is the certificate of appropriateness major for 1516 11th Street. Is the applicant present at this time? Okay. Christina, do you want to have us roll forward, or just to put this to the back and move the next ones up?
If you can just delay it, and we'll hear the next one,
All right,
just in case maybe the person is stuck in traffic or something.
all right. If that's the case, the next item for new business is the certificate of appropriateness major for 1027 Pennsylvania Avenue. Is the applicant available for this one?
Yes.
Seeing so. Christina, if you'd like to start this off.
Yes. The applicant is requesting approval from HPB for a certificate of appropriateness to alter enclosed porches on the west and east elevations. The building is located at 1027 Pennsylvania Avenue, and it's shown in your figure 1. And the alterations of the existing enclosed porch on the west elevation include removal of T111 siding, faux shutters, window boxes, aluminum awning windows, and existing roofing material. These items are going to be replaced with the addition of tongue and groove panels to match the original existing ceiling, black asphalt shingles, Pella brand Architect Series aluminum clad wood double hung windows with true divided lights, concealed gutters with round gutter tubing, and exterior lighting. Alterations of the existing enclosed porch on the east elevation include removal of T111 siding, aluminum awning windows, existing roofing material, and a wood exterior staircase. These items will be replaced with the addition of tongue and groove panels to match the existing original ceiling, black asphalt shingles, Pella brand Architect Series aluminum clad wood, double hung windows with true divided lights, concealed gutters with round gutter tubing, exterior lighting, and exterior staircase with landing. I did want to add on this one, when you get to the point where you're doing your motions, as we progress in this, you'll see there's a difference between the drawings that you get and the permitting drawings. So there are some unknowns that the applicant has to still work through with their architect, specifically when it comes to the east elevation, which is at the rear of the building. So if you all want to give staff the authority to make those final decisions, if they're within reason and close to the renderings you received, you may want to put that in your motion. Okay? So the building is located within the city's commercial business district, CBD1, and within the boundaries of the city's historic preservation district. The building is contributing to the local historic district as reflected in the 2020 survey and inventory, and is proposed as contributing to the proposed St. Cloud Downtown National Register Historic District. The Osceola County property appraisers reflect the year of construction as 1915. The west elevation is reflected in Figure 2 of your packet, and Figure 3 is the east elevation. Photographs and renderings of the proposed alterations to the porches are included in your attachment A. Okay. What I have in front of you there is an excerpt from attachment A that shows that west elevation and the proposed alterations that are being looked at for that elevation. So in the ordinance, you've got, actually, I skipped a part here, sorry about that. So the information in your staff report contains verbatim excerpts from the ordinance, number 2018-57, which is your St. Cloud Historic Preservation Overlay Ordinance. And of course, any member of the public can get a full copy from the city's website, or they can request it from us. This is a quasi-judicial matter, and as such, requires disclosure of all ex parte communications, investigations, site visits, and experts' opinion regarding this matter. So if one of you board members have communicated with the applicants on this, please make sure that is known. So additional criteria in our ordinance number 2018-57 is included as attachment B. There are some items under additional criteria that relate to this application. They are additional criteria item 4 and 6 through 9. So 1, new construction and alterations. All new construction and alterations to existing buildings within a designated historic district or on an individually designated property shall be visually compatible and meet the following guidelines as determined by HPB. So the number 4 that I mentioned just now is proportion of openings. The openings of any building within a historic district should be visually compatible with the openings in existing contributing buildings within the historic district. And the relationship of the width of windows and doors to the height of windows and doors should be visually compatible with the existing contributing buildings within the historic district at street level. So staff comments on that one are the proposed window openings and their height-width relationship are visually compatible with the openings in existing contributing buildings, and they do have a historic precedent as evidenced by a historic photo of 1026 Massachusetts Avenue, which you will see in your attachment A. And that's important to note because the rehab of this is actually calling to something that actually existed here in St. Cloud, and we have photographic evidence of that. So number 6, relationship of materials and textures. The materials and textures of a building should be chosen with the predominant materials of the historic district in mind to the greatest extent possible. Simplicity in such use is preferable. Staff's comments are the materials and textures proposed for the porch alterations are consistent with the predominant materials of the historic district, and they are simple in design. Item 8, roof shapes. The roof shape of a building is a major distinguishing feature. The roof shape of a building should be compatible with the roof shape of existing contributing buildings within the historic district. The roof shape shall be consistent with the architectural style of the building to the maximum extent possible. Staff's comments on that is the porch roofs are compatible with the roof shape of existing contributing buildings as well as with the architectural style of the building. 9, size, scale, bulk, mass, and volume. The physical size, scale, bulk, mass, and volume should be compatible with the existing contributing buildings within the historic district at street level and where appropriate may be stepped back above 35 feet in building height. Staff comments are the physical size, scale, bulk, mass, and volume of the porches are compatible with the existing contributing buildings within the historic district at street level. Staff is recommending the HPB approve the request for a certificate of appropriateness for alterations to enclosed porches on the west and east elevations with the addition of a staircase and landing on the east elevation with materials, finishes, and dimensions as detailed in your attachment A. The recommendation for approval is based on a finding that the proposed alterations are consistent with the purpose and intent of ordinance number 2018-57, City of St. Cloud Land Development Code, Article 3, Division 24, Historic Preservation Overlay District. and comply with the requirements outlined in the ordinance, as you see in the staff report. Specifically, the alterations are in compliance with the additional criteria requirements outlined in the ordinance, and they have local historic precedent.
Thank you. Did the applicant wish to speak at this time? All right, thank you. All right. I'll open the floor to our board members.
I have a question where it talks about in elevation, the east elevation, there's historic example 1 and historic example 2. Do we know which one, or?
So this is what I was referring to at the beginning, right before I read the background. There are some unknowns back there with the staircase and how that is all going to be designed from an architectural and engineering perspective. So the applicant is putting forth 2 examples of what that could look like, which would be a staircase leading up to a landing and then that rehabbed facade. We don't know exactly how that layout is going to happen, and so there's additional work that needs to happen there. If you all were comfortable with either of those 2 examples and you were comfortable with me working with the applicant to achieve the end product and take it through to permitting without having to come back to the board, then you would want to state that in your motion. So just for a little more clarification, he has not chosen either 1 or 2 as of yet, because there are some
They're both
unknowns.
beautiful.
Yeah.
And from a point of standing, it's the fact that it's on the back of the building, it's not completely visible
Yeah.
from the public realm itself. Even from the alleyway, there'd be some restrictions as to that view, so
Yeah.
just matching and being compatible with the overall historic feel of the existing building is very important, so. I thank Mr. Peppin for the nice illustrations that were created for this. The worst part about black in any illustration is that it never reads cleanly, but I think we've got a good feel for what you're wanting to accomplish. Any other board member comments? If not, I'll entertain a motion at this time. No rush, but remember, I can't make the
To
motion.
approve the request for a certificate of appropriateness for the alterations to the enclosed porches on the west and east elevations, with the addition of a staircase and landing on the east elevation with materials, finishes, and dimensions as detailed in attachment A. The approval is based on the finding that the proposed alterations are consistent with the purpose and intent of the ordinance 201857, City of St. Cloud Development Code. And I will make a motion for staff to work on the east elevation staircase and bring him to permitting.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Do we have any further discussion? All right. Absent any further discussion, all those in favor of the motion for approval signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, signify likewise. All right, Mr. Peppin, you have an approval. And enjoy working with Christine and staff to get that east elevation figured out.
Mr. Peppin's actually not here today. This is his representative, Mark.
I apologize. It's been so long since I've seen Al, I thought, hey, maybe my eyesight's going, I don't know.
Thank you.
All right, I haven't seen anyone else come in for the first item of new business, so we'll move on to Certificate of Appropriateness, Major, 1022 10th Street. I see the applicants are here, so Christina, if you'd like to start.
The applicant is requesting approval from the Historic Preservation Board for a certificate of appropriateness for new construction of an addition on the east elevation. The building is located at 1022 10th Street, as shown in your Figure 1. The scope of work is construction of a plus or minus 4,000 square foot addition on the east side of the existing 5,819 square foot retail building, for the expansion of the existing beauty shop salon. The proposed addition measures 77 feet by 52 feet and is set back from the east elevation 5 feet 1 inch and is set back from the southern property line 5 feet. The proposed material finishes include brick veneer, a cement, plaster, and sand finish stucco, fabric awnings, and aluminum storefront system. The building is located within the city's business commercial district, CBD1, and within the boundaries of the city's historic preservation district. The building is contributing to the local historic district as reflected in the 2020 survey and inventory, and is proposed as contributing to the proposed St. Cloud Downtown National Register Historic District. The Osceola County Appraiser reflects the year of construction for this building as 1926. The west and south elevations are reflected in Figure 2. I've provided those to show you the overall context of the building, and the south elevation is reflected in Figure 3. Photographs and renderings of the proposed addition and the east elevation are included in your attachment A. One thing that I did want to point out is there is a difference between the drawings and I should have had some water before I came up here. Losing my voice. The drawings and the renderings. So I will point that out to you right now. So when you're reviewing that, in the drawings, if you look at that elevation A2.101, you'll see that the brick veneer goes up and over both of those storefront openings, but in the renderings, it does not. So when the applicant comes up, you may want to get a little bit more clarification about which one. The rendering was received after the drawing. So if that matters to you, you also may want to consider that for your motion because there is a difference between the two. Okay, I'm going to go through this here now. Again, the information in the staff report contains verbatim excerpts from the ordinance, and you can obtain that from the city's website or request it from staff. This is a quasi-judicial matter, and as such requires disclosure of all ex parte communications, investigations, site visits, and expert opinions regarding the matter. We've got additional criteria from the ordinance that applies to this project, and actually, I have listed all the additional criteria as relating to this project since it is new construction. So I'll start with 1, setting orientation and setbacks. It says the building should be situated approximately the same distance from the street as adjacent historic buildings to create a continuous street edge. The orientation of the building should be visually compatible with that of the buildings in the historic district at street level. The setting should be designed with the overall environment in mind and should take into account the compatibility of landscaping, parking, surface areas, walkways, and accessory structures. The comments here are the proposed new construction is situated near the same distance from the street as adjacent historic buildings with a 5-foot setback required by the City of St. Cloud Land Development Code. The orientation of the proposed new construction is visually compatible with that of the buildings in the historic district at street level, and the setting is designed with the overall environment in mind, taking into account compatibility of landscaping, parking, service areas, walkways, and accessory structures. 2, building height. The height of the building at street level, i.e. from a 15-foot perspective, should be visually compatible in comparison or relation to the height of the existing contributing buildings in the historic district. Staff comments are the height of the proposed building at street level from a 15-foot perspective is visually compatible in comparison or relation to the height of the existing contributing buildings in the historic district. If you all are okay with referencing attachment B, I don't know why I'm losing my voice. Are you okay with me just reading the staff comments?
It's acceptable to me.
Okay. Okay, so next one relates to design styles. So item number 3, design styles, staff comments are the proposed new construction takes its design cues from the prevailing architectural styles within the district and specifically relates to the existing contributing building that exists on the site. 4 deals with proportion of openings, and the comments here are the openings of the proposed new construction are visually compatible with the openings in existing contributing buildings within the historic district. The relationship of the width of windows and doors to the height of windows and doors is visually compatible with the existing contributing buildings within the historic district at street level. 5, rhythm of solids to voids. staff comments are the relationships between solids, walls, and voids, thank you so much. Windows and doors of a building should be visually compatible with the surrounding buildings at street level. I said should be, it should be, are visually compatible, they are visually compatible. Rhythm of spacing along the street. The relationship of buildings to the open space between them is compatible with the other buildings in the surrounding district. There are no examples to reference within the same block. I just wanted to point that out because the ordinance says you have to reference the same block. There's really nothing else on that block but this building. Relationship of materials and textures. The materials and textures of the proposed new construction were chosen with the predominant materials of the adjacent contributing building, as well as other contributing buildings in the historic district, and are simple in design. Item number 8 is roof shapes. The roof shape of the proposed new construction is compatible with the roof shape of existing contributing buildings within the historic district and is consistent with the architectural style of the existing contributing building. Lastly, number 9, size, scale, bulk, mass, and volume. The physical size, scale, bulk, mass, and volume of the proposed new construction is compatible with the existing contributing buildings within the historic district at street level. Staff recommends the HPB approve the request for a certificate of appropriateness for construction of a plus or minus 4,000 square foot addition on the east side of the existing 5,819 square foot retail building for the expansion of the existing beauty shop and salon. The proposed addition measures 77 feet by 52 feet and is set back from the east elevation 5 feet 1 inch and step back from the southern property line 5 feet. The proposed material finishes include brick veneer, a cement, plaster, and sand finished stucco, fabric awnings, and aluminum storefront system as detailed in attachment A. And the recommendation for approval is based on a finding that the proposed addition, new construction, is consistent with the purpose and intent of ordinance number 2018-57 and comply with the requirements outlined in the ordinance. Specifically, the new construction addition is compatible with the additional criteria requirements outlined in the ordinance and have a local historic precedent, meaning the adjacent building.
Thank you. Does the applicant wish to speak at this time? Thank you. And then from an ex parte standpoint, I have to disclose that I actually am an employee of the applicant, so I will not be voting on this evening.
I have a question. You're doing concrete and stucco, but it looks like the building's been brick before. It's got like the brick facing with just like a paint over it.
The existing building?
Yeah.
Yeah, the
And it looks
existing-
like they're gonna do, instead, you'll have some of the brick facing, but then that stucco, I don't see anywhere previously on here. It kind of makes it look just like a modern, everyday building to me.
Did you want to address that, Mr. Moody or Mr. Quinn?
Danny Quinn, 1396 Hamlin Avenue, St. Cloud, Florida. The reason for the building built in 1926 was built, it's like a 3-layer brick system inside, so your inside walls are brick, it's a foot thick. So you have an exterior brick, an interior brick, and then a wasted brick that's in the middle of the wall. And so over the years, the existing building that's there was very porous, even up until about 2 years ago. A lot of problems with water coming through the building. So the front and the which would be the south side and the west side was like a spray foam texture that was put over the brick to make it look like a sand finish. But because of the thickness of the texture that was put over it, when it's actually settled and dried, you can still see some of the brick lines in the side. So then what we decided to do on the east side and the north side was to try to point up the brick and try to seal it off that way without having to put more spray foam or spray texture on it, which I thought would look better. John and I talked about it. We kind of did a little mock-up area, looked at it, decided that we were going to do it that way. To build a new building the way that the old building was built is just impractical. okay? Not to mention structurally not compatible with today's codes. So that's the reason why you have this building is trying to mesh up the best that it can with the existing building. Even though the brick corners that you see on this front elevation are black. And then what we're trying to do is a little bit of difference between the two buildings and have more of a natural looking brick on the new addition part. The buildings are connected with a breezeway area in the front, but are separated in behind that section of, I think it's like 5 or 6 foot, so that the air conditioners and stuff that are there, existing on the roof and all that kind of stuff are you can see that back picture right there. Want to go back? All those air conditioners and stuff, so there would be a separation distance between the buildings, and you can see that side. You can kind of see some of the old brick on the side to the right of that white car right there, where it was pointed up and try to stop some of the water that's coming in from the outside. But the material that's in the brick and the mortar is not consistent with what you get in today's mortar. So you can basically go up there almost with your fingernails and scratch the mortar out of how they built that building. So we tried to point it up and strengthen it up a little bit and stop some of the water. So that's the reason why there's a difference. Building the building today to match that building the way that building is built would be not only impractical, but code-wise close to impossible.
And ideally, since it's new construction, we don't really want it to match exactly. We want to have some differentiation between what is new construction versus historic construction.
It'll look somewhat, but different.
Yep. Thank you. Are there any other questions? All right. I was just going to point out, Christine, a point of clarification, the site plan that you were showing was actually done previous to the building needing to be attached. So the site plan's not as accurate, but if you look at the floor plan, it shows how the new areas tying into the old. You had, I don't know what exhibit number that is, but it's, in our packet, it's immediately after the site plan.
The only additional thing that we would need clarification is the rendering here in the upper portion differs from the drawing. So that was the only other thing, was in the drawing, it shows the brick going across above the canopy, but in the rendering, it shows it just on the side piers.
And you're talking about
This upper part in here?
This one, as opposed to what you're thinking that brick goes all the way across the top. The reason that was changed is so that there would be a difference between new and existing.
Okay, so the rendering is the one that
So
you're preferring.
this would be the one that we're shooting for here.
Okay, so you might want to make sure when you're crafting your motion that you refer to the rendering.
Yep. So it'll have kind of a step element similar to what's next door, but it won't be done in brick.
Yes.
There's your clarification. So if there aren't any other questions from staff, I'll open the floor for a motion.
Can I ask a question? Is there any particular reason, I know you're trying to differentiate between the old construction and the new construction. Is there any particular reason why you don't want to match the old construction? The roof line, you see how the roof line is on the old construction? How it has those stair steps?
Yeah, so the stair step that they have there is, if you go up on the roof, it's more or less to, what was torn off that side was an apartment. And that's one of the reasons why you have that stair step over there. That whole side, down 50 feet of that, was apartments. And I demoed that years ago, and some in the back also. And so that's the reason why you have that step down, because that's part of the way that was built with the apartments attached to it way back. What I tore down was falling down, so I didn't really, it was a mess. So, that design with a 70-foot, you've got a 70-foot fall from the front to the back. And then on the piece you're seeing, it's got that little step down over there, that's 50-foot fall front to back. So there's a longer angle for, or a longer distance for fall, and your parapet wall is gauged by that. So you don't want to go too high with that parapet wall, because then that's going to make this building higher than the other building if you were to try to get that step down. So one thing negates another thing, and that's kind of got caught up in the drawing.
Yeah. And just as a point of item on that also, that step down is strictly on the addition element. If you look at the west elevation, you have a full-length elevation of your parapet. So it's just a differentiation between the portions of the existing historic building. Again, the floor is open for a motion.
I'll give it a try. I move for approval of a certificate of appropriateness for construction of approximately a 4,000 square foot addition on the east side of the existing 5,819 square foot retail building for the expansion of the existing beauty shop, salon. The proposed addition measures 77 feet by 52 feet and is set back from the east elevation 5 feet 1 inches and step back from the southern property line 5 feet. The proposed material finishes include brick veneer, a cement, plaster, and sand finish stucco, fabric awnings, and aluminum storefront system as detailed in Attachment A. The recommendation for approval is based on a finding that the proposed addition, new construction, is consistent with the purpose and intent of ordinance number 2018-57, City of St. Cloud Land Development Code, Article 3, Division 24, Historic Preservation Overlay District, Section 3.248, and comply with the requirements outlined in ordinance number 2018-57 as outlined in the staff report, period. Specifically, the new construction addition is in compliance with the additional criteria requirements outlined in the ordinance and have a local historic precedent.
All right, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
We have a second on the motion. All right, any further discussion? All right, absent any further discussion, all those in favor of the motion, please signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, signify likewise. All right, the motion passes. Thank you. All right, then we can roll back around to the certificate of appropriateness major for 1516 11th Street. I still don't see another applicant in. Christina, do you, and I guess board, do we want to go ahead and move forward with this, or do you want to table it for a future meeting?
I would recommend
If
going.
it pleases the board, they can see it without the applicant, be confirmed.
Yeah, I do know that this property has a daily fine running on it, so I think the applicant would appreciate it being heard.
Then we will move forward. And Christina, you have the dais for this case.
Okay, the applicant is requesting approval from the Historic Preservation Board for a certificate of appropriateness to retain a porch that has already been constructed on the west elevation. The building is located at 1516 11th Street as shown in Figure 1. The porch is constructed of 4x4 wood posts, 2x4 wood framing members, 2x4 wood decking. The porch roof is attached to the roof of the building, which was achieved by cutting the original roof eaves back to align with the exterior wall. The building is located within the city's commercial business district, CBD1, and within the boundaries of the city's historic preservation district. The building is non-contributing to the local historic district as reflected in the 2020 survey and inventory, and is not contributing to the proposed St. Cloud Downtown National Register Historic District. The building was determined to be non-contributing due to alterations and additions that had occurred over time. The Osceola County property appraiser reflects the year of construction as 1936, and the primary elevation is reflected in Figure 2. Photographs and drawings of the new porch are reflected in Attachment A. Again, this is a quasi-judicial matter, and as such requires disclosure of all ex parte communications, investigations, site visits, and expert opinions regarding this matter. So additional criteria 6 through 9 relate to this project, and I'll read them to you. We've got relationship of materials and textures. And staff comments are the materials and textures of the constructed porch are consistent with the predominant materials of the historic district and are simple in design. Number 8 is roof shape of the building is a major distinguishing feature. Staff comments are the porch roof is compatible with the roof shape of existing contributing buildings as well as with the architectural style of the building. 9, size, scale, bulk, mass, and volume. Staff comments are the physical size, scale, bulk, mass, and volume of the porch is compatible with the existing contributing buildings within the historic district at street level. Staff recommends the HPB approve the request for a certificate of appropriateness to retain a porch that has already been constructed on the west elevation. The porch is constructed of 4x4 wood posts, 2x4 wood framing members, and 2x4 wood decking. The porch roof is attached to the roof of the building, which was achieved by cutting the original roof eaves back to align with the exterior wall. And the recommendation for approval is based on a finding that the proposed alterations are consistent with the purpose and intent of ordinance number 2018-57 and comply with the requirements outlined in the ordinance. Specifically, the construction of the porch is in compliance with the additional criteria requirements outlined in the ordinance.
The attachment A is the current condition of this?
This is the construction, the photograph.
So what are the drawings? Because they look
I guess
kind of
I'm
different.
I'm just trying to clarify, this facade is facing 11th Street?
It is
that-
facing,
So it's on the side of the house facing 11th Street?
yeah,
Okay. And the figure 2 is the facade that's facing to,
actually, the main entry is facing 11th Street. The construction is facing basically the next lot over behind a fence on the west elevation.
But it's on a side street, so it's still visible.
I was just trying to verify which elevation we're looking at, if it's on the alleyway versus on 11th. And just trying to get a handle on, you know, the figure 2 is all finished and painted, whereas the figure that we're looking at right there is not. So I was just trying to understand.
They're different. I'm showing you the primary elevation. The porch that we're talking about is to the left and pushed back. They look similar because they tried to match it.
Can you clarify what the drawing is that is next in this booklet?
Yeah, that's the drawing that they provided to show what was constructed, but in reality wasn't fully what was constructed. The major difference is the bracketing on the construction. They added some brackets.
And also, it's not on the ground, there's actually some crawl space.
Yes, it's actually elevated.
Yeah.
So if you're facing the house, you said it's on the left side?
Correct.
Where the right side, it looks like is their carport?
Yes.
Okay.
And that's one of the reasons why this was already a non-contributing, was because they had an addition of a carport, and then they had a very large addition on the rear as well.
Okay. So they've already done this, and did they get like stopped or something? And now they're backtracking? Just trying to understand. Yes.
It's an after-the-fact consideration.
I'm usually good at reading plans and trying to differentiate, but these photos aren't really helping to determine which facade we're looking at. So, I mean, the very first picture we're looking at is a typical what you would expect that's facing the primary road and an entrance, and then the next one on the built one, we're going to a patio sliding door, which is not what you would normally have as your primary entrance.
Right, so this one here, figure 2,
Yes.
that's the front of the house, that's the main elevation. If you were to go,
And is that facing the alley, or is that facing the property to the west? Or
There's a survey, if you keep turning a couple pages, which is quite a bit clearer.
yeah,
So basically, they've got two porches, the front porch and the side porch.
I see 3.
if this is the carport, then this primary elevation is what we're looking at here, is this primary elevation. This is what we're discussing that's currently shown as unfinished construction. So it's actually facing the rear yard then, okay.
So they're wanting to keep this one then, figure 2.
figure 2 is their primary elevation, it's the next one.
It's the next one.
So the one that we're really,
That's the porch that
so the porch that we're looking at that's unfinished does not actually face the
So this is, so it's in.
right of way.
So this is in the back anyway, it's not.
It's on the side, the
It's-
property.
Oh, it's on the side, so you can still see it.
Yeah, if you look at the survey, it shows it's highlighted where it is on the
The lots for some reason were split,
It looks,
and
I think they did.
so,
Okay, right here. This one.
So if you were facing the building, that would be on the left.
If it would have been like
It
this.
is behind a fence and it is pushed back some, but it's still somewhat visible, especially at the roof.
So, one of the questions I have, I'm looking over the application here. From what I'm reading on here, it appears the porch was already there, but the roof was not. There,
It's a little misleading. There was a deck.
okay, a deck,
So there
yes.
was a deck, and a deck is fine. We could approve a deck as a minor review. With where it got triggered to come to the board as a major review is the tying into the roof, because they
Right.
actually cut back the rafters to tie
That's
it
what I
in
was,
and
yeah,
connect
yeah,
it
that's
to
what I
the
was
roof.
referring to.
and so this is actually facing to what would be their side or I guess rear, and that depending on how you want to look at it. And it's enclosed by a fence as well, so visually, you're only seeing what's above the wooden palisade fence that they have.
That's correct.
All right. I'm a little clearer now what we're really looking at and discussing.
Sorry about that.
We work with what's given to
The main
us.
facade does actually throw it a little bit because it does look so similar.
Right.
And staff is recommending approval.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes,
Thank you.
I'll make a comment after.
All right. Since the applicant's not here, we can't ask them to speak, so I'm opening the floor to the board to make any further comments or to put forth a motion.
I move to approve the request for a certificate of appropriateness to retain the porch that was constructed on the west elevation as exhibited in attachment A, consisting of 4x4 wood posts, 2x4 wood framing members, 2x4 wood decking, and attached to the roof of the building, based on a finding that the proposed alterations are consistent with the purpose and intent of ordinance number 2018-57, City of St. Cloud Land Development Code, Article 3, Division 24, Historic Preservation Overlay District. Specifically, the construction of the porch is in compliance with the additional criteria requirements outlined in the ordinance.
All right, we have a motion on the floor. Do I have a second?
I second.
We have a second. Any further discussion?
Just a comment that it's unfortunate that this needed to come before the board. It's really unfortunate. I have a feeling, and this is just a guess, that it's in our laps because this porch fell victim to a code enforcement action. And now it's costing the property owner a lot of money every day until hopefully our board can rectify the situation. Is it an attractive porch? That's subjective. It's a porch nonetheless. It's a functional porch.
Right.
It meets the criteria of the code. I think it deserves to be approved.
All right, thank you. Any other discussion? If not, all those in favor of the motion to approve signify by saying aye.
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 Those opposed signify likewise. Motion's approved. All right, let me flip back to my agenda. All right, at this time, we can open the floor to any public comment. Are there any members of the public who wish to speak at this time? All right, absent that, so we'll open the next item of business is individual board comments. Does any member of the board wish to have a comment? I'll start on my right and work my way around. Camilla?
Nope.
Anyone?
Yes, of course.
You good?
Yeah. I just want to draw your attention to the flyer that I put at your places. I think I gave everybody one. This is about the Treasures of St. Cloud, which will be the weekend of January 20th through the 22nd. And we hope that you will participate and hope you'll be coming to the historic house tour. We have 2 members of our board here who have houses on the tour because they live in historic homes, and so we're really excited about that. We have 30-plus homes on the tour, and it's a bus tour, so you don't have to walk all the way around to look at these houses. And we will have 4 places that are open for open houses after you take the tour. You can go back to those places and go in, and the homeowners want to show you some unique features of their houses. So I welcome you all to come.
Thank you, Member Horning.
And that's a picture of my house.
What's a picture of your house?
I'm just gonna
Oh, this
say
one
that.
here,
That's
okay,
my house.
sorry. I'm looking up, I'm saying, no, that's City Hall, and it doesn't look like that anymore. Member Lamont, did you have any comment that you wanted to make?
No.
Member Jones?
I think I've talked enough tonight.
In which case, informationally, our next meeting is in February. It's no longer on the 14th, as shown on the agenda. It was amended to the 7th. So, thank you all for being here. This meeting is now adjourned.
And we're going to miss